available to all living beings. Indeed, it was described that although it was time for Kali Yuga to begin, as long as Lord Sri Krishna was present in this world, there was no chance for the influence of Kali Yuga to enter. But when Lord Sri Krishna exhibited the final chapter of his earthly Leela, the great saints and sages were inquiring, now that Sri Krishna is gone, where is our life? Where is our hope? Where is our salvation? Where is our protection? So Srila Vyasadeva describes that when Sri Krishna ascended to his eternal abode of Goloka Vrindavan, he descended again into this world in the spiritual sound vibration of the Bhagavad Purana. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary sound incarnation of the Supreme Lord. And it is described that this great Purana will give light and direction to all living beings in this dark age of Kali Yuga. Srila Vedavyas describes in the Bhagavatam how the Lord perfectly arranges his message to be told in the most suitable way for all men to benefit. Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken to a great king, Maharaj Parikshit. The life and example of Maharaj Parikshit is perfect illustration of the real goal of life, the real meaning of success, all living beings to understand and to follow. Maharaj Parikshit was coming from a very high birth. He was the grandson of Arjuna, nephew of the great Maharaj Yudhisthira. It is described from his very birth, from his very life within the womb. The Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, protected him from the deadly weapon of Ashwatthama. So therefore, he was God conscious even from that part of life. This is very important to understand, especially in today's society. The importance of the influences that affect the consciousness of a baby child even while living within the womb of the mother. You know, in the Vedic system, because it is very advanced scientifically, there are very specific samskaras in every stage of a person's life. And these samskaras are to facilitate purification and direction. The first samskara, Garbhodhan samskara, takes place at the time of conception. Because the husband and the wife understand that the goal of having a child is not simply to experience the pleasure of the animals and produce offspring like the animals. Human life is exclusively meant for the purpose of self-realization. Human life is meant to realize our natural loving propensities for the Supreme God. And therefore, civilized humanity, they will come together to produce children, give facility for a living being to realize the true happiness and essence of life, which is God realization. Therefore, the Garbhodan Samskar is to invite a very pious and enlightened soul. And because of the pure consciousness of the husband and the wife at the time of conception, from the very beginning, he's put into a purified atmosphere, a holy atmosphere. Actually, Garbhodan Samskar is meant to make the womb of the mother a tirtha, a holy place for the child to live. What is a tirtha? It is a place where the glorification of God is always present. So therefore, the parents are meant, when they know the child is within the womb, to keep the whole atmosphere of that child's life perfectly sanctified. When the glories of the names of God, when the glories of the subject matter of the Lord are constantly around the mother, when only pure prasadam, the purest food, is entering into that body, when acts of puja and devotion are taking place by the mother and father, then the child is in a holy place within the womb. One may think, well, does the child know what's in the womb? The Bhagavatam describes how Maharaj Parikshit was simply an embryo. And Ashwatthama, the very angry son of Dronacharya, wanting to seek revenge on the Pandava dynasty, he cast the most deadly of all weapons, the Brahmastra, into the womb of Uttara to kill the baby child. The child was helpless. What can an infant do? What to speak of an embryo to protect itself? But actually, however big and influential and wealthy and popular and beautiful you may be, if the Brahmastra weapon came toward you, you would have no more defense than an embryo in the womb. And the fact is, time was like a Brahmastra. It is on its way in our direction. And in the face of almighty time, all-devouring time, Krishna revealed in the 11th chapter of Gita, in his Virat Rupa, his universal form, what he really looks like in his Kali Yuga, his time form. He is devouring everyone and everything. And whoever you are, whatever you think of yourself, you are helpless as a child. But in that condition, Lord Sri Krishna appeared within the womb of that mother and with his Sudarshan chakra destroyed the Brahmastra and saved the life to protect his devotee. And the child, seeing Lord Krishna in the womb, became very fascinated. You know how children are fascinated easily by things. Like our Priya Bhakt likes to get fascinated by anything that invokes his natural God consciousness. When he sees the devotees dancing, he wants to dance. When he sees the devotees playing drums, he wants to play drums. When he sees devotees playing kartals, he wants to play kartals. When he sees devotees doing nonsense, he says, why are you doing nonsense? Yes, is that like that, children? That's on the way. So this little child, Parikshit, was so fascinated by the beauty of Krishna. He did not have an intellectual understanding. Oh, this is Bhagavan, this supreme absolute truth, the controller of all controllers, the source of the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Karabhodakshaya Vishnu, and Chirodakshaya Vishnu. He did not have this philosophical understanding, but he was attracted by the beauty of this form. And when he came out of the womb, he was always looking for that form. Parikshit means one who is always observing. Because he was observing, looking for that form of God everywhere. And because he was brought up in a spiritual family of kings, they raised him in such a way. There was the temple, there was the puja, he had his personal murtis, Radha and Krishna. And in this way, by seeing his parents doing the puja, by seeing his parents offering prasad to the Lord, he naturally became inclined on the path of austerity. In this regard, our beloved spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Radhanath Swami, Prabhupada, explains that when he was young, his father was a great devotee. And his father was always worshipping the beautiful deities of Radha. And when he was a child, he used to, like every child, like to imitate the parents. He would use, his parents gave him little arti paraphernalia, and he would offer the arti, and he would be making food. He would go out to the outside, and he used to go out and beg these little shops for kachoris. He used to fill his pockets with kachoris, and then he would bring them back and offer them to the deities. And then he would distribute them to everyone around. Because he would see his parents distributing prasad. He said that every day from his very infancy he remembers there was not a meal that would go by that his father would not have at least 3 to 5 sadhus invited sitting at the table. And in this way he was trained how to properly respect and worship the holy name and how to serve the deity. When a child is given that impression by his parents, it will never leave his life. Even if when one comes to the teenage years he falls astray from the spiritual path due to the influence of this society. Even if he gets involved in sinful and obnoxious activities. Because of that strong spiritual foundation which is established within his heart, it is just a matter of time. So when he comes in contact with a sadhu, a genuine sadhu, the seed of bhakti will again begin to grow. He will again take to the path of consciousness. So Maharaj Parikshit showed us the importance of giving the opportunity of the highest goal of life to our children from the point beginning in their own life. And because he was always playing little games, but the center was always Krishna, he was always eager to chant, to dance, to do the puja. Gradually, as he grew up, and he took the responsibilities of the world, he was fully dedicated in the loving service of the Lord. Some people ask, if you become Krishna conscious, does that mean you will not be a practical, functional, efficient man within society? Maharaj Parikshit, with the ultimate spiritual training in life, exhibited what a God-conscious man can do within this world. He became the king of the planet Earth. He was the greatest warrior on earth. He was the most fair and compassionate father of all his citizens. He was ideal. Injustice could not live. He would lead his armies. He would regularly get on his chariot, and he would travel throughout the world to make sure everything was in order. If there was any challenge to his divine monarchy, he would personally defend Sanatana Dharma by whatever means was required. This is a king. It is this described that one time Maharaj Parikshit was traveling on his journey and he saw the personification of Kali, who took the form of a low-class, untouchable man. But he was in the disguise of a king. And there was an innocent cow and bull, and he was beating to death this cow and bull, who in great pain were shaking with tears in their eyes. When Maharaj Parikshit saw this injustice, he drew his sword and was about to kill the offender. There was a great lesson to learn from this particular sighting. Notice how Kali entered into this village. He took the form of a low-class man, dressed as a leader, a king. This is how society goes to hell. Krishna says in Gita, Yadyarachadati sthrestas tad eve durojana sagat pramam purupurus. Whatever the great men do, the common men follow. Whatever standard they set, the whole world pursues. In any position of society, if we have any leadership position, we must understand what a very grave responsibility we have to follow. Now here we find that the king was beating the most innocent of animals, the cow. Maharaj Parikshit could not tolerate this. But my friends, see how Kali Yuga has progressed since then. He was beating 2 cows with a stick. Just recently, in the country I am from, the United States of America, which is the most powerful and influential materialistic country in the whole planet Earth. When I was in my teenage years in the 1960s, the President of the United States, do you know how he made all his money for his campaign, for his wealth, for his influence in society? He raised cattle for slaughter. He had his own slaughterhouses. Under his personal name, for years and years and years and years, while he was making his political progress, he was slaughtering tens and thousands of innocent cows, not just beating them with a stick. And this man became the most powerful king, the most powerful nation on the planet. What did he do as soon as he became president? He started sending all the young people of America to Vietnam for a useless, worthless war so that they could be slaughtered as well. Huh? Did he go to Vietnam and lead the troops? No. He was sitting in the White House, drinking his tea and giving nice speeches. Making a lot of money. While the youth of this country were spilling their blood on his command. Kali Yuga is progressing. Maharaj Parikshit could not tolerate this king and was about to kill him with his sword. And in the face of Maharaj Parikshit, Kali personified became very humble. And he surrendered. He said, a noble and virtuous man will never kill someone who is surrendered to him. And I'm surrendered to you. So please do not kill me. Maharaj Parikshit, he said, all right, I will not kill you. But get out of my kingdom. And don't you disturb anyone else. So this Kali personified. He said, please, my dear king, I have taken shelter of you. Anyone who takes shelter of a noble and virtuous man, you must give me some place to live. Maharaj Parikshit replied that yes, wherever there is illicit sex, wherever there is intoxication, wherever there is gambling, and wherever there is the slaughter or eating of innocent animals, you can dwell and completely control that place with your demoniac influence. These are the 4 pillars in religion. Illicit sex creates a condition of total internal uncleanliness. It infatuates one on the bodily conception of life. One becomes envious, greedy, and uncontrolled. Intoxication. We see what a habit form of addiction, intoxication is. What it does to a person's life. Just see these 4 pillars are so connected. Illicit sex, for example. Today, in society, especially where I am from, the biggest fear is AIDS. It is said that America, 1/4 or 1/5 of the population will have AIDS by the 21st century. It's only 10 years away. Already, there's practically nobody in America that doesn't know somebody that has AIDS. It's an epidemic. And my friends, if you really are anxious here in India to import the glories of America, the film industry, the cinema examples, the music, the dress, you'll have to take AIDS also. You can't take part of the culture without the rest. If you want the material culture, you'll get the disease. And gradually, it's also coming to India. Unsolvable, utterly complex problem that nobody knows how to deal with. It's all due to illicit sex. Intoxication. Not only is the greatest cause of death in America automobile accidents, but 95% of all deaths in automobile accidents are due to people who are under the influence of intoxication of alcohol. Most murders and violent crimes in America, and my God, it's rampant, are performed by people who are under the influence of intoxication. An alcoholic, practically in all cases, his family is disassembled and becomes shambles. But that's not so bad compared to what's going on in regard to crack. Have you heard of crack? Crack. Very popular. There are sections of New York City where 1/3 of the whole population of neighborhoods are addicted. And the most violent, horrible crimes are all drug-related. It's such an unsolvable problem that America, they say, is
In the newspapers and the magazines and the televisions, it's falling to pieces completely on their hands and knees, crumbling due to addiction to crack, drugs. As far as gambling, it is perhaps a worse addiction than illicit sex and intoxication. People do not understand gambling. But that excitement of getting something for very little, getting much for little, that adrenaline that pumps within your body when there's that hope and that risk within your life, is so habitual and addictive that it totally steals away one's intelligence. It is a fact. In Las Vegas, millionaires go in, and an hour later, they're bankrupt. They have nothing. They can't control themselves. Gambling is one of the most vicious addictions. Very difficult to ever give up. What is the definition of gambling? Gambling means to take something very, very valuable and important and whimsically risk it. You may gain something better, but you may lose it all. Now, what is the most valuable thing in the whole wide world? The human form of life is the most valuable thing a man can attain, a living entity can attain. It is said after passing through 8,400,000 species of life, alas, you attain the human form. The most precious thing that can be attained within the human life is the association of sadhus. Because without the association of sadhus, our human life has no possibility of a spiritual direction. And without that spiritual direction, if we are speculating and concocting what is good, what is bad, what is really worthwhile in my life, what you are doing is you are gambling. Mental speculation, mental concoction to act outside of the direction of the sadhus and the shastra, the scriptures, is gambling with the most precious of all commodities, your human birth. And of course, leading the rise of cancer, the rise of heart disease, intimately connected to the eating of flesh. George Bernard Shaw, the great playwright of America, he was a vegetarian. He explained that you go to church on Sunday and pray for peace, and then you come home Sunday night and gorge yourself on the dead. The fact is that this is what George Bernard Shaw said, the same cruelty and hard-heartedness that it takes to kill an animal is the cruelty and hard-heartedness that causes war. And know that to the degree you are killing these innocent animals, your own children will be slaughtered on the battlefields due to that same influence of hard heart. The massive violence in this world is directly a result of the innocent animals being slaughtered according to the laws of God. and how much violence is taking place. This is another major problem in this world. They're building big nuclear bombs. They do not know what to do with these nuclear bombs. There are so many. There's more and more and more. Over $1 billion a day in America and Russia together. $2 billion a day between those two countries simply in building weapons. How much that is? How much food can be distributed? You know, in medical devices could be utilized to help the sick. Do you know how many beautiful temples could be constructed to enlighten society with what they spend in 1 minute? Millions of dollars a minute. So you see, Maharaj Parikshit understood quite well that illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meeting are the 4 pillars of sinful activity. And wherever these 4 things are taking place, Kali is in complete control. Because Maharaj Parikshit was such a good king, Kali was not satisfied. He said, "My dear Maharaj, you are such a noble and virtuous and religious man, and you are so strong in defending Sanatana Dharma, that these 4 pillars of sinful activities absolutely cannot exist anywhere as long as you're present. So I have nowhere to go. Please give me another place." Maharaj Parikshit gave him one more place. You should listen carefully. You should know where the enemy is. He said, "Wherever there is the hoarding of gold, wherever there is too much passion and attachment to wealth, greed, you can be there. Because wherever that takes place, the other 4 sinful activities are sure to follow." So this was the quality of this great Maharaj Parikshit. He happened to be Hare Krishna devotee. And some people say, "What are you Hare Krishnas? What can you do for the world? It's not practical. If I become devotee of God, then how am I going to maintain my family?" My God, he was maintaining the whole planet. And he owed it all to the mercy of God. The fact is, one who surrenders to the Lord is the most efficient, most practical, and he is the most progressive of all people in society. Not only is he fully capable, with a clear mind, working hard because he has the highest purpose, but he's full of compassion, mercy, and love. He's self-controlled and selfless. These are the qualities that are most essential in today's society. We have so much technology, so much science. The problem is not that we need more and more and more and more. The problem is a lack of compassion, a lack of mercy, and a lack of love in the hearts of the human race. And those qualities can only manifest in the presence of God. When we make our heart the kingdom of God, when we allow the mercy of the Lord to reflect or shine through our heart, then in whatever position we are in, whether we are doctors or lawyers or engineers, industrialists, businessmen, architects, construction workers, housewives, students, musicians, sannyasis, You are God conscious. You are a friend of all living beings, and you can push forward real prosperity within this human condition. So Maharaj Parikshit went on ruling the kingdom this way for many, many years. But by the will of God, a very mysterious pastime took place in his life. One day he was in the forest, and he became very thirsty. Now, to such a great self-realized man, why would he become a victim of thirst? There's two types of illusions. There's Mahamaya and Yogamaya. Mahamaya is due to our own independent way of thinking, trying to enjoy our senses separate from God. We are completely covered by the illusion of the material energy, thinking I am this body and everything related to this body is mine, my house, my wealth, my expertise, my family, my glory. Under the influence of Mahamaya, everyone is consumed by false pride. How subtle is this false pride? Even after taking to spiritual life and doing many, many years of tapasya, one starts thinking, I am very spiritually advanced. I am a great sadhu. This is Mahamaya, false pride. The truth is, we are insignificant, humble servants of God. And we are the insignificant, humble servants of all other servants of God. That is the truth. As long as we identify ourselves as anything else, we are in illusion. Now Maharaj Parikshit was feeling himself the humble servant of every one of his citizens. He was not thinking, I am king, I am great, I am glorious. He was thinking, I have the duty to God to serve. Even the innocent cow, even the insect, I will protect them because I am their servant. This is the way great men feel, even in the highest positions. They feel themselves the lowliest servant of their subjects. But for someone who is in that state of consciousness, there is another Maya called Yogamaya, where the Lord, in order to fulfill a higher purpose, he covers his devotee over and makes him appear to be an illusion. So Maharaj Parikshit became very thirsty by the will of the Lord. And he went to a house of one Brahmin, a great rishi named Swami Rishi, who was sitting in samadhi. Maharaj Parikshit asked him, please, my dear sage, grant me some water, I am very thirsty. Swami Rishi was in samadhi, he could not understand or hear any of the words. But Maharaj Parikshit was thinking that this puffed up sadhu thinks he's so great that he does not have to think about serving the need of the king. In most cases, Maharaj Parikshit would be right. Sometimes sadhus will think, because I am a holy man, I deserve all respect and all glory. I don't have to bow down to anyone. Sometimes I remember the story when I was living in Mithila, the holy land of Janaki, Sita Devi, the daughter of King Janaki. In the year of 1971, I lived there for some time. And there's a beautiful place called Mandir. People coming up and taking the dust from his feet and giving him various flowers and garlands. He was giving them the blessings and benedictions. was thinking, my God, I should get the blessings of the saint. I should take the opportunity. So I stood in line for about 15 minutes. And finally, it came my turn. I bowed down to his feet. I looked at him. He saw I was a Westerner. He said, what country are you from? I said, I am from America. He said, you are in the robes of a sadhu? Why you are in the robes of a sadhu? I said, I'm looking for God. I'm trying to understand God in my life. He said, you were looking for God? You left America to look for God? He said, in America you had everything. Beautiful women, such wealth, nice food, big cars, so many modern conveyances. You left America to come to India to look for God? I said, isn't that what a sadhu was supposed to do? He said, I said, aren't you a sadhu? He said, yes, I am a sadhu. People are touching my feet. Can't you see? He said, but I'll tell you something. I have been a sadhu for 30 years. And all I've gotten out of my 30 years is chow and dal. Rice and dal. That's all you get as a sadhu. He said, I became a sadhu because it was the easiest way to get chow and dal. I was sick of working. Somehow or other I'm famous and people touch my feet, but they don't give me any money. All they give me is chow and dal. He said, I'm sick of chow and dal. And you're a fool. You're crazy. You left America, all the luxuries, all the opulence, all the happiness, and you, mark my word, all you get from it is chow and dal. So there are many sadhus like this. There are many genuine, real sadhus who are sincerely working for the benefit of all humanity. So Maharaj Parikshit thought that to some degree she must be one of these chow and dal sadhus. So he saw a dead snake laying on the ground, and he garlanded the Rishi with this dead snake. And then he left. Now what happened is, after he left, the son of this Brahmin, Swami, became very angry. He has offended my father in this way. He must die. He has offended the Brahminical class. He sipped water 3 times, he chanted his Gayatri mantra, and he pronounced a curse. That I curse this evil-minded King Parikshit to die by being bitten by a snake bird in 7 days. And when news came to the palace of Maharaj Parikshit of the curse, he became very happy. He welcomed it as the mercy of God. My dear Lord, if I have committed some offense, this is very good, and I'm getting a good atonement. This is the perfect opportunity for me because I know the time of my death. Krishna says in Gita, Yam yam bhapi smaran bhavam tijattam te kalevaram thantam evaipikonte asitatam bhava bhava. And whatever you think of at the time of death, that is what you will attain without fail. So Maharaj Parikshit, he had unlimited wealth, beautiful family, power, prestige. Do you know how he could have enjoyed the last 7 days of his life? My God. You wanted to have a nice 7-day party? You'll have the best party in the history of Earth. What did he do? He understood that the goal of life is self-realization. He took off his royal dress and put on the robes that he preached. He left his beautiful palace to live on the bank of the Ganges. He took a vow to fast from eating and sleeping, exclusively for the purpose of hearing the absolute truth from the great sadhus. Who did he choose to hear from? The great Srila Goswami. He's really important. Srila Goswami was living in the jungles. He had no wealth. To the extent he did not even have a pair of clothes. He was naked. He was only 16 years old. He never went to a day of school in his life. Now here, it is described that Srila Goswami, he would go to a householder's house once a day to get a little bit of milk. And that's how he existed. So here's the wealthiest, most highly educated, most influential king. And he's fallen at the feet of a 16-year-old, poverty-stricken, materially uneducated sadhu. He's placed his head at Srila Goswami's feet because he knew that Srila Goswami was the possessor of the supreme wealth, because he knew Krishna. The treasure of love of God is the supreme treasure. And before Srila Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit understood that he was a poverty-stricken beggar. Maharaj Parikshit was sowing all society and all men to come, however educated you are, however wealthy and powerful you are, however influential you are. Your treasure is not worth anything in comparison with the treasure of the great sadhus. Humbly learn how to love the Lord. And if you really want to be a rich man, you have to bow your head before such sadhus. You have to beg them for donation. Everyone is asking you for donation. But if you want to be a wealthy man, you have to beg the beggar for the donation. The donation of bhakti, divine love. Maharaj Parikshit asked Srila Goswami 3 questions, which are the most essential 3 questions for man to ponder, understand in his life. The entire 18,000 slokas of the Srimad Bhagavatam are simply the answer to these 3 questions. The first question was, there are many scriptures in the world, many rituals, many languages, many names of God. We see in our today's society, so many religions are quarreling amongst each other, amongst the differences. Maharaj Parikshit asked, of all the religious teachings, in all the scriptures, coming from the mouths of all the great souls, what is the essence and the most important goal of life to pursue and receive? The second question, what is the supreme occupation of every man? goal of life. And the third question, which is the number one of all questions, what is the duty of a person who is about to die? No one is exempt from this category. We are all about to die. Maharaj Parikshit was given insurance that he had 7 days to live. There is not a single person in this room that can honestly say that he is guaranteed 7 minutes. If you read the newspaper, you find that unexpected death comes in the lives of people all the time. Real success in life is to answer these 3 questions. Real success in life comes from the realization of the solution to this great mystery of life. Srila Goswami described to Maharaj Parikshit in 18,000 slokas the answers to these 3 questions. But he summarized all of it in 1 sloka. And by understanding this 1 verse, the goal of life is achieved. What is that verse? Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Iswaro Hari Srotavyas Kirtitavyascha Smartavyascha Thavayam. That the ultimate goal of life, what brings one to the point of utter happiness and fearlessness, can be achieved by always hearing about the Lord, chanting His names and glories, and always remembering. Indeed, in the 3rd canto of Bhagavatam, Lord Kapila Dev explains that all the spiritual literatures of the world and all the great sadhus and all their teachings are simply meant to bring us to the point of always remembering Krishna and never forgetting Krishna. This is practical. Most practical life. By associating with saintly persons, by hearing submissively their words, and by chanting the names of God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The remembrance of the Lord is established within our mind and in our heart. And then we can push forward. And we can perform our duties and responsibilities in this world in divine consciousness. Unless we have this spiritual foundation established in our heart through the process of associating with sadhus, hearing from them, hearing the scriptures, and chanting the names of God, and we may do our work very piously and very well, but it is all within the category of karma kanda. Krishna tells Arjuna, he doesn't tell him simply fight. People are under this gross misunderstanding. You just do your work, that is yoga. Where does Krishna say that to Arjuna? Krishna spoke 700 verses to convince Arjuna how to remember him in all circumstances. If all Arjuna had to do was fight, Krishna could have spoken the Bhagavad Gita in 1 verse. Just say, Arjuna, fight. The whole 700 verses is the proper spirit and consciousness in which to fight. Krishna told Arjuna, you fight in divine consciousness. Jagyarthat kamanom yatra loko mam karma bandhana taratam karma pantayam mukta sangha samachana. Work done
as a sacrifice for the Supreme God must be performed. Any work you do for any other purpose is bondage. You may say work is worship. You may say work is God. But if it is not done in God consciousness, it is bondage and bondage alone. Now, how to perform work in divine consciousness? By purifying the consciousness. By regularly chanting God's holy name. By offering our service to the deity of the Lord. By offering our service to the devotees of the Lord. The scriptures. This is called sadhana bhakti. If our sadhana bhakti is strong, then naturally that divine consciousness will carry on with everything we do as the goal of life. In this age, the chanting of the holy name can purify and transform our consciousness to its divine natural state. And in this condition, we can move forward. We can fight within this society, armed with yoga, armed with the mercy of God. And we can do great things for ourselves, for our family, for our loved ones, and for the world. This is the only true need in life. Divine consciousness. We must take very seriously that it is this divine consciousness that is the standard of real success in life. Everything else is illusory. We must know what is success, what is wealth, what is real prosperity. And then we can go to what is real happiness, what is real peace. We can share it with the world. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Yes. What do you mean by divine consciousness? Suppose I am working in my office and I am having some money and giving you some donation with some income or begging. That's also divine consciousness. It's very difficult to understand divine consciousness.
Krishna describes what is divine. Divine means to be one with the opinion of God. Krishna says in Gita, Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhya jivnam namastu mam evaishasi satyam te prati jati. Always think of me. Become my devotee. Worship me. Offer your homage unto me. In this way you will come to me without it. Yad karosi yadasnasi yajjohosi datasya yad tapasnasi hoteya yad karoshmadaya. All that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away should be done as an offering to me. Divine consciousness simply means consciousness of Krishna. Krishna consciousness. Understanding Bhoktaram Jagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Sukritam Sarvabhutanam Yatmanam Shakti. Divine consciousness means always being aware that Krishna is the proprietor of everything that exists. That Lord Sri Ram is the enjoyer of everything that exists. Everything is for his enjoyment. And that he is the well-wishing friend and protector of all living beings. Yes?
Would you describe the story of Richard, how he was from the son of Rishi? Now it tells us that Maharaj Parikshit was a great devotee, having seen Lord Krishna, Vishnu, Mohammad's mother. Would he have countermanded the curse? And if so, what consequences?
He had the power to counter that curse. He was a great mystic. But he was a humble devotee, first in life.
He could have sent his armies to destroy that little Brahmin boy easy. He was a humble devotee. He accepted this curse as God's mercy upon him. He accepted it as an opportunity to show the world what is the real purpose of life. To take shelter when you are most in need of the great souls and to hear from them.
One question. Do you think the person by the son of the Vishnu is there?
Actually, Kali Yuga could not influence the world as long as Maharaj Parikshit was present. So how did they get rid of Kali Yuga? By degrading the Brahmin class. The Brahmin is the head of society. When the head is in good condition, the rest of the society is in the right direction. When the head is diseased, the rest of the society suffers. Kali Yuga began when the Brahmins became degraded. As long as our spiritual master used to say that what this society needs is a first-class Brahmin class within society that is leading. Without that, there is no hope of spiritual direction. When the spiritual leaders, the Brahmin class, are degraded, then there's no standard for the society to follow. So it was totally unfair. He was a neophyte, immature person. When his own father heard that he cursed the great sage Parikshit, his father was furious. You have done the worst thing. You have destroyed the world by doing like this. Without Maharaj Parikshit, the age of Kali will spread like wildfire. Look at what you have done. And Samik Rishi went to Maharaj Parikshit with folded hands and said, I will take away this curse, anything, please. Maharaj Parikshit said, no, this is the mercy of God. I'm going to the Ganges. He knew God's will. What would you do if you found out you only had 7 days to live? A serious person will live every day as if it is the last day of his life. Because it may just go. How much we waste our time. If you knew you had 7 days to live, would you be going to parties? Would you be going to the cinemas? You would be very intensely praying and chanting God's names, I hope. In America, there was a television show. And this television show was about a man who was a very, very wealthy lawyer. And he had cancer. And the doctor in the last days of his life. My God, he had money, he could do anything. One week he was mountain climbing in Switzerland with a beautiful young Swiss girl. The next week he was scuba diving in the Caribbean with a nice Jamaican young girl. The next week he was in the parties of Beverly Hills with a nice Californian girl. Every week he was just doing the most incredible types of sense enjoyment. And everyone was thinking, my God, he is our hero. I wish I could, I only pray to God Almighty that the last days of my life I could spend like him. As a matter of fact, it was such a popular show because everyone idolized and heroized the glory of this man's life. The show was making so much money that they had to extend his life another year so he could show it. Maharaj Parikshit had another standard of life. He could have enjoyed 100,000 times greater than this. But he understood the real purpose of life. Lord Jesus Christ in the Bible said, make your treasure not in this world, but in the kingdom of God. For wherever your treasure is, that's where your heart will be. He said, in this world, your treasure is subjected to be eaten by moths, stolen by thieves, and corroded by rust. But in the kingdom of God, there is no rust, there is no thieves, there is no moths. A good businessman puts his investment in a place where there is stable returns. Gajendra the elephant, he was a very powerful king of elephants. He had good family, good wealth, good positioning, but when he was being eaten by the crocodile at time of need, when he was on the verge of death, no one was there to help him. All he had was the great words of the sadhus that he had heard from the previous life. That's all he had. And those words invoked with him the desire to cry out to Krishna to save him. When Krishna came, he always answers the sincere prayers of his devotees. That is our greatest wealth. Any other questions?
Many people aspire for bhakti. Is there something higher like
Kaivani narakayate. Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sudulapatra santatman bhaktishu maha. That out of thousands of men who have attained mukti, and out of thousands of men who have attained the perfection of the mystic cities, it is very rare to find one who has attained bhakti. Narayana Parayana, the pure devotee of Narayana. Only such a man is truly peaceful. It is said that mukti stands at the doorstep with folded hands like a serpent before bhakti. Mukti means liberation from the miseries of material existence. It is the negation of the bad, the negation of all temporary. But bhakti is the positive, spiritual love, ananda, bliss, in our relationship with God. The Lord is Satchit Ananda. The Sat feature of the Lord, understanding his eternal existence, that is the state of mukti. All miseries are due to the temporary existence, to Kalayana Shastra. When you attain the eternal state of consciousness, there is no more misery. That is mukti. The Chit feature of the Lord is the realization of the Lord in the heart, who is the source of all knowledge. But bhakti, devotion, and love in the service of the Supreme, that is the source of ananda, the highest pleasure, the highest ecstasy. Because ananda or pleasure comes to loving reciprocation. So bhakti is the fulfillment of the complete realization of the Satchit Ananda. Therefore, great souls like Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, they were offered mukti. They said, I don't want it. What do I want this mukti for? All I want, my Lord, is your service. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prayed, Natanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagatisha kamaye mamachanam nicharanavishya bhavatal bhakti. My Lord, I do not want any amount of wealth. I do not want the most beautiful, lovely women. I do not want fame and followers and prestige in this world. I do not even want mukti or liberation. My desire is only one, that birth after birth after birth I may be your humble servant. And that is the